Obama brought up 3 weeks ago the good people on both sides farce lie, and there was no fact checking. There was no
rebranded that as it's
just you not watching the original video.
What?
Dude, he says...
Say that again.
He said,
I didn't watch the original video again.
You clearly didn't, because he says he decries white nationalists and Nazis in that video.
With confidence, but not fact.
I got so confused for a while because people were saying that like the quote is "good people on both sides" is fake news. But if you like Donald Trump, good people, both sides. Like I think 30 seconds after he's pushed, he does like disavow like eventually, but like he said this. Nothing takes away.
Putting what you're calling the alt left and white.
Wait. It was during a debate, or maybe there are other clips people referred to as well. Hold on. Trump debate disavow Charlottesville. What is the original quote? Is it this?
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out.
No, was it this one? Why do I feel like I remember hearing this in a debate.
You're putting what you're calling the alt left and
maybe it came up in the debate. Okay.
White supremacists on the same moral plane.
I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, or you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is.
Like, I mean, like, what do you suppose? Like, why do we? I don't understand why. Like, people think that if you watch this whole thing, it exonerates him or makes him look better, because there's like one quote at the end here where it's like, oh yeah, I disavow Nazis or whatever, or at least he said that during the debate. We'll keep watching that.
On both sides, sir, you said there was hatred, there was violence on both sides.
Well, I do think there's blame. Yes, I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either. And
like, were there even a ton of Antifa here? I thought it was just like the Tiki Torch people. Like,
and if you reported it accurately, you would say.
Neo-Nazis started this. They showed up in Charlottesville. They showed up in Charlottesville to protest.
Excuse me. They didn't put themselves down as neo, and you had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. No, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner?
Why
so
would you?
Will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him? Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group.
So here's the 2 minutes we get to the they should be condemned totally, yeah.
Group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
Unfairly, sir. I'm sorry. I just didn't understand what you were saying. You were saying the press has treated white nationalists unfairly.
No,
I just didn't understand what you were saying.
No. There were people in that.
Why do people put so much stock into the quote when he clarifies later? Because it's very obvious when you listen to him that he will not. He will never wholly condemn something. But this is just ordinary behavior now for Republicans. Republicans will never, ever, ever completely own or condemn something that happens on their side. They will never, ever do it, which is why I don't do it now when I go on Piers. And he asks me, like, oh, do you condemn this? Like, no. Ask them about something. No, they never, ever, ever do it. Conservatives will never do it. The best they will ever do is both sides you. And even in here, he said more about the horrible Antifa people than anything about the actual, like, Tiki Torch Nazi people that showed up at this rally. Like, they will never, ever hold their side accountable.
Rally, and I looked the night before, if you look, they were people protesting very quietly the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. I'm sure in that group there were some bad ones. The following day, it looked like they had some rough, bad people, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, whatever you want to call them. But you had a lot of people in that group that were there to innocently protest and very legally protest because, you know, I don't know if you know, they had a permit. The other group didn't have a permit. So I only tell you this. There are two sides to a story. I thought what took place was a horrible moment for our country, a horrible moment. But there are two sides to the country. Does anybody have a final? Does anybody have? You have an infrastructure.
What makes you think you can get an infrastructure bill? You didn't get health care.
Well, you know, I'll tell you. We came very close with health care. Unfortunately, John McCain decided to vote against it at the last minute. You'll have to ask John McCain why he did that.
Crazy. That's the that's like for the pre-existing conditions, the thing that he now wants to keep, by the way.
But we came very close to health care. We will end up getting health care, but we'll get the infrastructure. And actually, infrastructure is something that I think will have bipartisan support on.
He didn't get either of those. Biden did, though. Good job.
I actually think Democrats will go along with the infrastructure.
Hey there, thanks for checking out.
Okay. There are other quotes relating to this. The stand back and stand by is another one. Like
You have
repeatedly.
you've been talking back
made
and
a
forth.
statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to
you know,
end it.
sir.
I would love to end it.
You know, if you want to switch seats,
we could very quickly.
We could do that. But
sending the National Guard, it would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay.
But they don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm willing
prepared
to
to specifically
do it? I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from
that's just an insane response. That's just an unhinged and insane response. Like
seen in Portland.
Sure,
are you
I'm willing
prepared
to
to specifically
do it?
Go ahead,
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. Do you want to call him? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and white
supremacists
and white
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
White supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
Not militia. That's what
his
FBI director said.
Well, then you know what?
No, we're done, sir. We're moving on to the next.
Everybody that's not an idea. Everybody in your administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no idea.
Antifa is a dangerous
All right,
radical
gentlemen, we're
group.
now moving on to the Trump and Biden records.
They'll overthrow you.
When a president, I'm going to ask a question.
no one cares. Nerd. They're not here to see you.
Facts.
My God, dude. Obama 3 weeks ago, or I'm sorry, a month ago,
Trump was in
brought
the
up
debate saying
I'm actually still going right here.
I was still talking.
You've interrupted me
that?
50 times.
10 hours ago.
Call me out for it.
And you continue to talk.
Trump could say ridiculous, insane things, and the media this time was trying to not take the bait by not calling him out on every little thing he said.
True.
You're so disconnected, man.
Imagine what a badass Trump thinks that he himself is. You know what I mean? Because he did do all that stuff. And to us, we're probably, to some people, you're like, yeah, but he like lucked into this and fell into that and backed into that other thing. But to him, he saw the path from the beginning. To him, the fucking oceans, the part before his feet. You know what I mean? Like whatever. Yeah. The last fucking, how long's it been? 12 years, 13 years has just
you
been.
Can't deny the resistance that dude's gone against in so many different levels.
That's true.
Absolutely. He's taken remedial tests. You know, this like you were like, hey, what's what is the details of Kamala's plan? It's been asked again and again and again. Meanwhile, Trump goes up there and I've got a big, bold, beautiful plan. You're just going to love it. Trust me. I have concepts of a plan. Right? They do not drill. Trump can say any fucking weird shit, and it just gets.
Listen,
that's true, and we can find example out of it after example. Fuck, we should just. I listened to this on the plane. What an embarrassing fucking interview. Oh my God.
Thank you, Claire.
What an absolutely embarrassing. We might just listen to this whole thing right now.
Thank you, the Economic Club of Chicago. Thank you, David, particularly. I want to say two things at the beginning.
But anyway, this whole interview is like all of this is so stupid. Sorry. Okay.
engaged.
You really do. Like, this is
hold on. really do. Like,
I'm serious. Like, 2 weeks ago, you were talking about how you live totally inculcated in a left-wing kind of biosphere media. You said that you thought your media ecosystem was balanced, and it turned out you were woefully misinformed.
Which you have rephrased as you live in a totally inculcated left-wing bubble. That's not what I said.
That's what it ended up being, though, because you were espousing all these things from the mainstream media.
Fox News is a left-wing bubble.
And Reddit, and you were going to these places, and you were so sure that these things were going to happen, and they didn't. And you said, I want to kind of expand my media horizons, which is true, and that's fair, and I feel the same way in that regard. But this idea that you can look at what Trump's gone through just from a media perspective, and that he hasn't been grilled and had ridiculous things thrown against him all the time by every major network for a decade is insane. That's just looking at reality and denying
Trump brings it on himself when he says, these people have bad genes. They are vermin poisoning the blood of our country. And then you're like, can you believe they're giving Trump a hard time?
I mean, there's so many other examples.
So,
oh my God.
Obama 3 weeks ago, or I'm sorry, a month ago,
Trump was in
brought
the debate
up
saying,
I'm actually still going right here.
The dogs and cats, they're eating your pets, right? That's what he goes up there and says in the one debate he participated in. And they're like, I can't believe they give Trump a hard time. Yeah, he brings it on himself. If Kamala said that people were eating cats and dogs in the debate, that's all they would talk about.
Kamala said she wanted to give trans surgeries to illegal prisoners. And
in 2019, she said she wanted to follow the laws. What a stupid example. That's his counterexample, bro.
Wasn't held against her feet, was it?
And the fact that you don't know that is
I do know that
of the media not really giving her a fair shake, right? That is not her position.
You think the media, the entire reason that Harris went from being the least popular, hidden in a basement vice president of all time to being foisted upon us as though she's brat and a hero with all these ham-handed memes from the media is solely because the media was driving her to popularity. She had no organic popularity. She was a total empty suit that people got to, impose whatever view they wanted on top of her.
This is your bubble, because I saw the organic popularity. I saw the streams with the freaking coconut pilled and how everyone was so
That's not organic. If you fell for that, that's on you.
I think these people were excited.
If you fell for that, meanwhile, he's talking about a 2019 or whatever quote from the trans jail prison, whatever bullshit. Like the popularity was organic, but it was obviously people were excited because there was like a crazy political thing happening. The idea that like you're swapping a candidate with somebody new, like you should be able to admit that, even if you think it was short-lived, or even if you think it was because of her, but it was because of just like the scenario around it. Like that was an exciting moment for both sides. It was crazy stuff. The idea that you're pretending like that all of that was just astroturfed or none of it was real, like, come on, bro.
Excited about her because she wasn't Trump and not because she was Kamala. I mean, I'll grant you that.
Fair.
But the idea that there's some media ecosystem propping her up is not true. They were so much harder on her than they were on him.
Disagree.
Dude, they were propping her up. I'm sorry, Richard, go ahead.
Let me just say this. Kamala Harris factually did not do an interview for months after she was given the nod. Every single one of her interviews is heavily fucking scripted, where she gets at least 3 days to prepare. And I know a lot of these things because I was invited on the fireside chat with Joe Biden 12 years ago, and they vetted every single question going into it. And Trump, like, love him or hate him, regardless, the man has done interview after interview after. I personally went to fucking Mar-a-Lago for the Crypto Bro Summit down there, and for 4 hours with people on their phones recording him, what questions you got? I asked him about CBDCs and shit like that. Like there was no screening of questions. The dude was just talking off the cuff. He did podcast after podcast after podcast. He did so many unscripted conversations with people. You couldn't get one sentence in with Kamala Harris without it being heavily scrutinized beforehand. And that's the problem that I had with it.
I think she went 6 weeks before she did her first interview.
6 weeks.
Well, he said it was months. That's a long time.
Almost 2 months.
The whole campaign was months. Trump did take interviews, especially in his first term. I would argue less so in the second one. He did fewer rallies and fewer interviews, and the interviews he did were often super friendly. He didn't go on 60 Minutes like she did, where her feet were held to the fire. He would go on Fox News. He would go on Hannity's show.
For a second?
He went on CNN and did a town hall, but they mandated that everybody who went to that town hall was a Trump supporter. Those are the kind of stack the deck.
Let's stop it for a second. You just implied that 60 Minutes held Harris's feet to the fire.
Oh shit. Is he going to bring up, what about when they edited in her other answer for that one thing, when they had the Twitter thing to make her look infinitely better? Here we go.
Right?
Okay, yeah, I did.
Okay. Do you know that they selectively edited out questions?
It's every... Bro, just kill me, dude. It's like every stupid fucking conservative conspiracy talking point. And he accused Woody of living in a media bubble. Didn't you hear her answer on Israel?
I've heard that. What did they edit out?
They edited out insane, ridiculous, retarded ramblings from a moron in order to put a different answer from a different question into the edit. Yes.
It wasn't a different answer for a different question. I think sometimes they do multiple takes for answers for questions, and they went with one over another. The people that made the trailer on Twitter it wasn't the same take that made it to the final cut. And also, if you, I didn't even hear about this. What's the claim? The claim is she answered something one way about like Israel-Palestine there was like a Twitter trailer for the interview, and then in the actual video itself, there's a different answer in there. In my opinion, both answers are like pretty retarded. So the idea that one answer sounds way better than the other is just, it's most people don't even know what both answers were. And And whoever thinks that like one was a really good answer and the other wasn't just doesn't know anything about the answers. Can we find these? Kamala Harris, different answers, 60 Minutes question. Fuck, we read an article that just has a transcription of both. On October 6th, CBS Sunday morning public affairs program Face the Nation posted a lengthy clip previewing the sit-down with Harris 60 conducted by correspondent Bill Whitaker. So I think this was in relation to the Israel-Palestine thing, and the first answer was, well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region. And then the actual answer that they edited it to was, we're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end. Like, both of these are pretty nothing answers. Like, I don't know if I would look at one and be like, oh, this is so much better than the other. But people were acting like, because this is the one that made the final cut and this is the one in the trailer, that 60 Minutes was like hardcore sweeping for, we're hardcore sweeping for her entire fucking interview or whatever. Just stupid. This is the original article you read. If they were sweeping, why would they show the other answer? Yeah, I know. That's that most obvious thing. It's like, why would they even... Wait, it's the same answer, not a different cut? Oh, wait, is it all part of the exact same... Oh, fuck. Did I even the version that I fell for was fake? Hold on, let me read this. Former President Donald Trump is accusing 60 Minutes of deceitful editing of our October 7th interview. This is false. 60 Minutes gave an excerpt of our interview to Face the Nation that used a longer section of our answer than that on 60 Minutes. Same question, same answer, but a different portion of the response. When we edit any interview, whether a politician, an athlete, or movie star, we try to be clear, accurate, and on point. The portion of our answer on 60 Minutes is more succinct, which allows more time for other subjects in a wide-ranging 21-minute-long segment. Oh, fuck. 60 Minutes gave an excerpt of our interview to Face the Nation that used a longer section of her answer than that on 60 Minutes. Oh. So 60 Minutes gave an unedited version of the interview to Face the Nation, and then they used a segment that 60 Minutes didn't. Also, I'm pretty sure 60 Minutes posted literally the full interview anyway with her, like the 40-minute plus full interview anyway. So yeah, this is all of this is a nothing burger. Fuck, this is even less of a nothing burger than I thought it was then. But everybody was like fucking ranting and raving about this. Fuck me. I can't even believe I fell for the little bit. No charitability. I have to go back. No charitability. I have to remember this for conservative cucks. Fuck me.
Ramblings from a moron in order to put a different answer from a different question into
really?
the edit. Yes, they
I need to look into this.
And this is a good example of the media ecosystem.
You're going to say that I didn't hear it, and I did. I did hear about this.
And you maintain that the media did not prop her up when they're actively editing things in order. The media
like this is like he's just fully bought into the retard theory that they're like trying to sweep for. Like he's just completely.
Did that for Trump.
Hold on. The media edited.
Did you know that?
Hold on.
Question.
It's Fox versus. There's Fox on one side, which is I will admit
the largest
propaganda.
Fox, JRE. Like
actually, it's not the largest.
Right.
ABC, NBC, and CBS are far and away the largest. You know this.
What? Wait. What? Combined? Or what? Isn't Fox News still the largest cable news outlet? Largest cable news outlet, USA. Fox News channels, a 24-hour all-encompassing, currently attracting like 50% of the cable news viewing audience. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, is that true? I wonder if combined, if all these other news networks even outdo Fox then. That's insane. Wait, what the fuck? No, wait, no shot is that real. But anyway, Fox is still 100% the largest one. Are all the others combined bigger than Fox? Maybe, although I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's even true. But
largest propaganda. Fox, JRE. Like
actually, it's not the largest.
Right.
ABC, NBC, and CBS are far and away the largest. You know this. Fox is the most right wing, and it's right wing propaganda. I know that. The other ones are largely left wing propaganda. And so when you say, "Oh, 60 Minutes held their feet to the fire," no, they didn't. They edited a video to make it appear that she answered differently because they knew that releasing it would make her appear foolish.
But they don't. He won't even say. I bet he doesn't even know what those two things I read. He probably doesn't even know what that what the answers were, or because again, if you read both of these answers, and now I realize it's not even the way he's presenting it, but if you read both these answers, they're not even. It's not like one is so much better than the other. Like it's so stupid.
Meanwhile, that same exact program edited Trump to make him seem like he was saying Nazis were good people. Obama brought up 3 weeks ago the good people on both sides farce lie, and there was no fact checking. There was no
branded that as it's
no. It's just
like imagine caring about this both sides are good farce lie because he keeps saying this, but not care. Like let's assume that is like you're only half quoting, you're not quoting it correctly, but then not caring at all about the complete and total fabrication of the eating the dogs and the cats. Like what?
Just you not watching the original video.
What?
Dude, he says.
Say that again.
He said,
I didn't watch the original video again.
You clearly didn't because he says he decries white nationalists and Nazis in that video.
With confidence, but not facts.
My God, dude.
He just said I've never seen the video.
Then were you not listening?
I've seen it and I've read the transcript and I've looked into this again and again and again.
He overtly says he's not talking about white nationalists and Nazis. But there were good people on both sides protesting.
Two-step, and I've laid the Trump
This is your own little nonsense, so many times. Like this is your way of rationalizing everything he says into something you disagree with. The Trump two-step.
The Trump two-step is like widely recognized as a natural speech pattern that he does. He will say like...
Trump literally has named it now, and he calls it the weave. Like he does this shit, yeah.
Oh, there are good people on both sides, but I don't like some of the people.
Are the media biases I just laid out untrue, or are they true?
I was still talking.
You've interrupted me 50 times.
You called me out for it.
And you continue to talk. So
I called you out for it.
Am I right in that the media overwhelmingly was bolstering Harris through selectively editing interviews, giving her, okay, well then there's no inroad to this conversation. You're just living in a different reality.
To a standard that they didn't hold him to. And you saw it again and again. Like it seemed like Trump could say ridiculous, insane things, and the media this time was trying to not take the bait by not calling him out on every little thing he said.
True.
You're so disconnected, man.
If Kamala had said that immigrants were eating our cats and dogs, if Kamala had said that vermin were invading or poisoning the blood of our country, this stuff would get so much more attention. But
they've been calling their political opponents Nazis for a decade.
They've been calling Democrats communists for 2 decades. What a Also, how is that even comparable? Even if we don't think somebody should call somebody a Nazi, that's still like what do they say in definition? Non-actionable. These words don't make sense outside of legal context, but that's like an opinion, right? You're a communist, you're a Nazi, whatever. And we can say they're really bad opinions and they're really unsupported opinions, which I would argue probably might be true of both of those, calling somebody a Nazi or communist. But that's a lot different than factually saying there are people eating cats and dogs. That's like a specific empirical claim. That's not an opinion at all. There's no room for interpretation there. That's an actual like claim that we can go into the world and see if this is true or not. And it's not.
I didn't call him a Nazi. But Trump did call her a Marxist, communist, socialist, the whole thing, a fascist. Kamala didn't call him a fascist.
That was a huge part of their campaign, is that he was
everybody called him a fascist.
Everybody called him a fascist. The people that knew Trump called him a fascist. The people that worked
because an email was sent out that fascist is the vocabulary word this week.
Like if you can't like admit that the mainstream media does have a left-wing bias. If you don't see that, that's on you. Like, do you really think that these organizations, which are staffed almost entirely by Democrats, their staff donates to Democrats, they vote Democrat? Like, you don't think they have a bias in how they're covering these things?
Why are you saying what I think?
No, I'm asking you. I'm saying you don't think do you think they have a bias? Let me phrase it that way. Do you think the mainstream, ABC, NBC, every mainstream
it depends which ones you pick.
Apparatus, other than Fox.
I think CNN probably has a left bias, that's true, but they were tougher on Kamala than they were on Trump this news cycle. MSNBC, clearly they're biased. They're not going to defend them. ABC and NBC, from what I've seen of them, they try to get it right. Fox News doesn't try to get it right. Jerry doesn't try to get it right. They just say their favorite stuff. Yeah, dude, that's hugely influential.
Yeah, it is. And Jerry like lets people on and then they chat for 3 hours. Like, Joe Rogan
will have like non-political comedians on there, and he'll turn it into politics.
Joe Rogan is a liberal who got fumbled.
But you don't think Jon Stewart did that?
Of course he did.
You're telling me what I think? What is it I think?
Like, yeah, but I'm saying, like, if you think that, like, if Joe Rogan has people on, like, comedians, and they have, political conversations, but and that has a perspective on it, isn't that what Jon Stewart did?
Jon Stewart called out Kamala far more than Jerry called.
Oh, no, I was talking about, like, 15 years ago. Not.
Oh, yeah. Jon Stewart's obviously to the left. I'm not trying to pretend that he's, like, calling it down the middle, balls and strikes. He's not, right? Jon Stewart is an agent of the left, I would say. So there, sort of lie. Something that didn't really happen.
Yeah, that happens a lot in politics. I wouldn't say
Twitter complies with more government takedown requests now than they did before Elon took it over. Yet
according to who?
Twitter.
Came out and said they're doing more?
Fact check it. Google it. Because I heard that and I was like, really? I need to look into this. So I did.
Is that a FISA thing or? Like, is that?
I don't know. Here,
do you think Jon Stewart is too soy for today's political climate? I haven't watched much of his recent stuff, so I can't say. I would lean towards no, but I haven't seen anything super recent.
Google, fact check me, prove me wrong, because I looked into it just recently and I was like, oh, what do you know?
So Twitter is censoring more now than before, despite...
I said complies with government takedown requests.
So they're complying with government takedown requests.
The company has not refused a single request since Musk took ownership, according to self-reporting data. Since Musk took ownership, the government has received 971 demands and fully complied with 808 of them. Before Musk, Twitter's compliance rate hovered around 50%. Now it is over 80%.
Yeah, I mean, do you think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there were a lot more requests for information to be...
And now, do you see the selective skepticism? Do you see how his brain was searching for an answer there, right? In the Biden administration, they made 1,000 requests, and Twitter followed 50% of them. Wow, 50% of the government requests were listened to? How could they fucking listen to so many? Who's being removed here? We need to ask some serious questions about government bias. What's going on? And now it's like, well, now they follow 80% of requests. Well, maybe they're requesting less now because they know they have to behave, I guess, maybe? Like,
now it is over 80%.
Yeah, I mean, do you think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there were a lot more requests for information to be banned prior to Elon getting it? Because there was a long time
trying to rationalize why going from 50% to over 80% is okay. I get it in this context, but this idea that like, oh, Democrats are all about censorship.
Wait, is mom and dad fighting?
Democrats are about censorship.
We do it every week.
Both Walz and Harris openly talked about how they were in favor of increasing censorship on social media.
On hate speech laws? Wait, is he going to do the hate speech laws thing? Do it. Say hate speech laws. Say it.
Because they have less control and they see it as misinformation and hate speech. They were open.
That hate speech thing and the misinformation that he's talking about, he's referring to more fake news that he's just a fucking retard. He's just fallen for every fake news fucking thing. I know exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about a Twitter clip where Walz says that he wants to ban hate speech.
You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right to misinformation. Kamala Harris wants to use the power of government. You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right.
7-second clip here, and then we've got this clip here.
We need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
8 seconds. So this is so I guess he seems pretty obvious. He wants to outlaw hate speech, I guess, which is, or outlaw misinformation, which is, that seems really bad, right? Which I would agree. However, I don't know if I suck at searching or if just fucking YouTube sucks at. Somebody link me the original interview for this. Oh, it's MSNBC, sorry. Oh, it's this. Personally, I'm glad that the United States has no hate speech laws. I wouldn't want to see hate speech laws in the United States. So when I heard this, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of, that's not really good. But here's what he's talking about.
I want to talk about what you just mentioned about misinformation, because oftentimes before, in previous political chapters, disinformation, telling people where to vote the wrong way, that was kind of, these were considered shenanigans, but it's becoming more ominous. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you will do to ensure that there are penalties for that?
So what she's talking about, that's already illegal. You're not allowed to do that. You can't lie about where people can vote or when they can vote or anything having to do with that process. That's a federal, I believe it's a federal crime. It might be just state crimes, but I'm pretty sure that's a federal crime.
Yeah, years ago, it was the little things telling people to vote the day after the election. And, we kind of brushed them off. Now we know it's intimidation at the ballot box.
That's also illegal. You cannot intimidate people at the ballot box. I think in all 50 states, I don't know if these come from Congress or not, so it might be federal, but I think in all 50 states, you're also not allowed to wear political merchandise at polling places as well. And you're not allowed to bully people or harass people as well, because all of this stuff is looked at as voter intimidation and stuff like that. I don't even think you're allowed to offer food or water to people in line or whatever. You can't do all of this stuff. These are all laws on the books. These are all things that are already legal things, right?
It's undermining the idea that mail-in ballots aren't legal. I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy. Tell the truth where the voting places are, who can vote.
So I don't like that he says hate speech here. I don't know what he's thinking when he says that, because it doesn't apply here. It's dumb. But it's obvious what he's talking about. He's not talking about hate speech like racial slurs. He's talking about misinformation around how to vote, which is what he's saying here is perfectly factually true and fair. And we already have laws for this stuff, right? But every single conservative dipshit took this 6 or 7 second clip out of here to try to make it sound like he wants to ban misinformation and hate speech wholesale. But what he's actually talking about is people lying about whether or not you can mail in vote or whether those ballots are legal, or lying about where to go and vote at polling booths. That's what the question is. What he's responding to.
It's becoming more ominous. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you will do to ensure that there are penalties for that?
Yeah, years ago.
He's probably talking about voter intimidation when he says hate speech. Yeah, I think that is what he's talking about. But hate speech is coded in our minds very much as like banning mean speech or bad speech. When he says hate speech, he's probably talking about voter intimidation. But people hear that term and they think a lot else. But if you listen to what the answer he's given, it's pretty obvious what he's talking about here. It's very obvious what he's talking about here.
The little things, telling people to vote the day after the election, and we kind of brush them off. Now we know it's intimidation at the ballot box. It's undermining the idea that mail-in ballots aren't legal. I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy. Tell the truth where the voting places are, who can vote, who's able to be there. And watching some states continue to weaken the protections around the ballot, I think is what inspiring us to lean into this. Again, all we're asking is to make it as easy and simple as possible to exercise their right to vote and participate in our democracy. And I'm in 100% agreement with you. That makes it so that more people are there. You get more opinions brought in. And I think it tempers that extremes that we get. Because, again, I can't imagine someone going and standing in line for 8 hours to try and vote and then being told that, maybe the votes didn't count or maybe something's wrong. Or you have these candidates who lose and are on these ridiculous court cases that they keep bringing up and losing on. Here in Minnesota, we're going to bring faith back into that system. It's already been here. We're very proud that we're near the top in voter turnout, but there's more that we can do.
So also, this misinformation clip was posted also by Elon Musk, by the way. But that's what Taylor here is remembering when he says they wanted to ban hate speech.
Wait, is mom and dad fighting?
Democrats are about censorship.
We do it every week.
Both Walz and Harris openly talked about how they were in favor of increasing censorship on social media because they have less control and they see it as misinformation and hate speech. They were open about that.
Yeah, so I don't line up with the idea of...
And now Woody is stuck in a position where he doesn't know the piece of propaganda that Taylor has swallowed here. And so Woody is like having to respond here and pretend like he just made a point that was actually true and said by them. And it's just so fucking irritating watching this.
Censoring ideas that you don't like. But Trump does. Trump said he was going to pull broadcasting licenses for reporting news he doesn't like.
For the last 10 years, left-leaning social media companies have been removing right-wing people.
Well, like, for what, though? For their political beliefs or for breaking the terms of service? Like, this is an issue, too. You can't make a TOS anywhere because conservatives are going to break it more than liberals because they're worse people. They're just bad people. And a lot, like, if you try to make a TOS where it's like, okay, well, we can't have like people blatantly lying about some health issue. Well, it's going to be unfair to conservatives because they'll lie about it more. They just break the rules more. They do worse things. So what are you supposed to do? I don't know. I guess we just have to have no TOS anywhere.
Like, I remember Dick came on our show and he's like, they don't like me because I'm right. I'm like, what'd you actually post? He's like, you put some swastikas on your Twitter feed and suddenly you're a Nazi. That's the kind of stuff.
You realize he was joking with you there, right? Like, he's not actually posting swastikas. He was meaning. Well, I'm telling you, he was joking as though what he was. Let me tell you what he's meaning.
Okay.
He was saying, oh, I'm being so offensive, it's Nazi adjacent. The reality is he's shit posting. Nothing Dick does on there is Nazi-esque. The fact is that what used to get removed about on social media is like, up until Musk, it was really just Democrats asking like, hey, this looks bad for our party, remove it. And they would.
That's a fucking lie. Dude, the reason why I'll never go on PKA again, I'm so sorry. I love these guys. They're cool, okay? But I'll never go on their show because none of these guys talk politics when I'm there. And it's happened like the last 3 or 4 times. They don't say anything. Taylor's just lying now. There was only one person that I saw make a request for actual stuff taken down that just makes them look bad. And it was when Trump requested the removal of the Keegan comedian girl's tweet for saying he was an asshole or whatever. That's it. These people never, ever talk politics from there. And it drives me fucking crazy. Oh my God. They're the Chrissy Teigen tweet. Yeah, that's the only one that I saw. And that's why Taylor will not bring up a single example. He won't even be able to bring up one example of this happening. And Woody should push him on it. Woody's like, wait, I don't remember that, but I don't know if he doesn't want to push him because he's worried that Taylor will have it. He should just push him on it. God, it's so cringe.
On social media is like, up until Musk, it was really just Democrats asking like, hey, this looks bad for our party, remove it. And they would comply with that often. That came out. They did that during election seasons. Like, this isn't conspiratorial.
It is.
COVID. It doesn't.
COVID. What about the mask stuff? What about the
mask stuff? Is my favorite example for why you need to be careful about censoring misinformation because, like what was true in my air quotes about Mac.
And now Woody is doing, I used to do this like 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. But I fall into this trap a lot where Woody is trying to kind of like, this is why I don't give any ground anymore to these demon fucks, to these subhuman, disgusting, treasonous motherfuckers. I don't give any ground anymore because Woody's trying to be good faith and build a bridge. It's like, okay, yeah, this lie by Fauci, it probably wasn't great. I understand it. Why is it that if Fauci says one thing wrong, it undermines him, but Donald Trump and all of the other conservatives can lie with impunity over and over and over and over and over again and you don't care and you make excuses for it? It's not the same. They're not the same rules. This is stupid. You shouldn't give any ground to people like this, ever.
Asks shifted. And
like, you want to talk about laws? Fuck, where's that one Twitter compilation video? Fuck, there was such a good like Trump lied over and over and over again about how, like, I think in the first few days, he was like, oh, no, yeah, it's under control. It's going to be gone. It's not even a thing. There's only like 6 people that are infected. He lied over and over and over again. It was insane. And nobody talks about any of his lies. Why? Watch now. Oh, it's not letting me watch. Tabor would just say he did this to make people not panic. Okay. There's a Vox article about it. Yeah, I don't have this shit saved. What is this video? 20 minutes. Whatever. Believe it or not. Don't care. Don't believe me.
If you're kind about it, maybe they just like got new information or raised their standards for what was good.
They lied. They knew that doesn't stop it. It wasn't people who said masks are 100% effective. You can go and say that all day. Obvious, disinformation. It was people saying, hey, these don't work clearly. It says so on the box. That was what was shut down. The vax efficacy shit too. For a while, you got banned for saying it was anything less than 100% effective. And then
what? Is that true? You got banned for saying masks were less than 100% effective? There's one where he was talking instead, but whatever.
Then they backed off of that.
That surprises me that you got banned for saying it was less than 100% effective. But what I saw a lot was like the number was like 97% effective or 80% effective.
Was it this?
The virus will not have a chance against us. No nation is more prepared or more resilient than the United States.
We weren't.
We have the best economy, the most advanced healthcare,
Didn't matter.
and the most talented doctors, scientists, and researchers anywhere in the world. We are all in this together.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Ade's office, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate. But I'm a little upset with China, I'll be honest with you, because as much as I like President Xi and as much as I respect the country and admire the country, I have great admiration for the country, what they've done in a short period of time. Of course, our previous presidents allowed that to happen. You should say thank you very much to all of them. But they should have told us about this. Easter is a very special day for many reasons. For me, for a lot of our friends, that's a very special day. And what a great timeline this would be. Easter as our timeline, what a great timeline that would be. And our people want to go back to work. I'm hearing it loud and clear from everybody. I just don't want to wear one myself. It's a recommendation. They recommend it. I'm feeling good. I just don't want to be doing, I don't know, somehow sitting in the Oval Office behind that beautiful Resolute desk. The great Resolute desk. I think wearing a face mask as I greet presidents, prime ministers, dictators, kings, queens. I don't know. Somehow I don't see it for myself. I just don't. Maybe I'll change my mind. They called it wrong. They called it wrong. They missed the call. They could have called it months earlier. They would have known. And they should have known. And they probably did know. So we'll be looking into that very carefully. And we're going to put a hold on money spent to the WHO. We're going to put a very powerful hold on it. And we're going to see. It's a great thing if it works. But when they call every shot wrong, that's no good. I'm going to have to make a decision. And I only hope to God that it's the right decision. But I would say, without question, it's the biggest decision I've ever had to make. I'm sure people will be very happy to get a big, fat, beautiful check and my name is on it. Right, and then I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost the cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of lungs. So it'll be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors.
Why the fuck would you even spitball this publicly?
Anything at this point that gives you a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the origin of this virus?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I think that the World Health Organization should be ashamed of themselves because they're like the public relations agent or a wife or a husband or, any brothers, sisters. If you lost someone, you can never make up for that by saying, well, you're going to have a great year next year.
With only 7 weeks until the November election, President Trump's own words might have become his biggest obstacle. In the early months of the pandemic, President Trump tried to reassure Americans that COVID-19 would disappear, praising his own administration's response.
I think it's going to work out good. There's no reason to panic because we've done so good.
But those comments now face a renewed scrutiny as audio from a private interview with veteran reporter Bob Woodward show Trump admitting he knew of the serious threat COVID presented, including airborne transmission.
That's a very tricky one. That's a very delicate one. It's also more deadly than your
your strenuous flus.
The admission calls into...
By the way, none of the Trumpers even believe that statement, by the way, because Trump lied to them so fucking much, and they're such sycophantic fucking retards, Taylor included. If you would ask Taylor, do you think COVID is more deadly than the flu? He'd probably, no, I don't think so, not at all, because Trump lied so much of it, even though Trump knew it. That's always the thing that I want to stress with you guys, is that when you have these smug dipshits like this out here saying these lies, they might not even know they're lying. I don't think Taylor knows that he's lying right now. Taylor has legitimately just been hoodwinked by a bunch of people that are laughing at him in the background. All of the Trumps, all of the Viveks, all of the Musks, all of the Fox News anchors and hosts, all of these people, they're all laughing at dipshits like Taylor who are working for free. He's not even getting a check from these people, and he's still carrying water from them because they've all been like lied to so convincingly by these people. And it's been shown over and over and over and over and over again that they're lying, and they don't hold them accountable at all. It's insane.
It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus.
The admission calls into question the decision to not implement a mask mandate. The interview also shows that the president held back information that critics argue could have saved lives.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't want to create a panic.
The president never downplayed the virus. Once again, the president expressed calm.
But on Wednesday, Trump doubled down, while at the same time refusing to acknowledge any shortcomings.
It's just another political hit job, but whether it was Woodward or anybody else, you cannot show a sense of panic.
And as the president propped up his response, the Biden campaign launched a new attack.
He knowingly and willingly lied about the threat it posed to the country for months. He failed to do his job on purpose.
And confirming fears from his critics, the book also quotes Dr. Anthony Fauci as saying Donald Trump was more focused on re-election than leadership. And while it's unclear if this will move the needle with any voters, it may sway those who are directly impacted by the virus. Reggie Cicchini, Global News, Washington.
100% effective. But what I saw a lot was like, the number was like 97% effective or 80% effective over some period of time. And then they're like, if it's not 100, what are we doing? What a waste. They tell us it works. It doesn't actually work. When really, it's like 80 to 90.
Well, if you remember, like the actual track of info, it started as 100% safe, 100% effective.
I do remember. I never saw 100.
And then it was, Fauci said it. And then it was down to...
I've looked for these over and over again. I think he's following... well, I'm not even gonna waste my time. I don't know. You've either seen me do this before or you haven't. I can fact check every single one of these claims over and over and over again. There was that one dipshit on Twitter that wanted to argue with me. It was like all these people said it was going to be 100% effective, and it would be like one quote where it would be like Bill Gates saying, "If you get vaccinated, it'll stop people from getting sick." And I'm like, "See, he says it's 100% effective." But then when you go and you look at the speech, and then you look at the paragraph before, he's saying that like herd immunity is important. Most of the people that get vaccinated won't get sick, and if enough people get vaccinated, then we won't have to worry about it spreading from person to person so much. And then like at the end of that, it'd be like, "So if people get vaccinated, we won't spread the disease or whatever." And people say, "Oh, he was saying it was 100% effective." No, he wasn't. He's talking about herd immunity. Every single one of those quotes that I chased down on that stupid fucking Twitter thread like a year ago, every single one of those quotes was like that. I couldn't find a single person, a reputable person, who was saying that like, oh yeah, it'll be 100% effective. But
it works. It doesn't actually work. When really, it's like 80 to 90.
Well, if you remember, like the actual track of info, it started as 100% safe, 100% effective.
I do remember. I never saw 100.
And then it was Fauci said it. And then it was down to 97. And then it was down to 90. And then it was down to 80. And over the course of about a year and a half, the end-up claim was, yeah, idiots, it's not supposed to keep you from ever getting it.
A year and a half? What variant were we on after a year and a half? Of course, it changed. Like, it was incredibly effective at the first COVID-19, the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and then the Delta variant. And then as they became more and more mutated, yeah, the vaccine efficacy decreased. The severity of the illness also decreased. But yeah, when you say a year and a half out, like which variant are we talking about at that point?
It's supposed to keep you from dying and going to the hospital. And so there was you could watch in real time as a narrative fell apart, and there was kind of a backfilling of, oh, well, okay, they're right about that, but this new thing is true. And so when they operate on a scale like that, it is easy to go, okay, what else are they not allowing to be spoken about?
Oh my God. Kill me. Jesus. Poor Woody. Do you think there's a better way to organize this? I don't know. These are like the same stupid talking points over and over and over again.